everyone, welcome to Marie's Scrappy Creations, where we sew the scraps of your life into beautiful creations. Now this week I had originally planned to make a hobo purse, a scrappy hobo purse. I kind of had a rough week, things didn't work out as planned, but I knew you guys wouldn't mind me doing my other idea, which is September is only a little over a week away at this point. We need to welcome fall. We need some fall projects. So I always like to dress my kitchen up for whatever season. So I thought, what's better than some potholders? Now this is not finished, as you can see. I'm going to do that off camera. And then I have this one. Check that out. Cute little truck. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some fun with applique. And when I use this method, I use N Bond Lite. Now I'm going to leave everything that you'll need in the description box below, including links to where you can find the leaf pattern. And I do have another one that I'll show you in the video. It didn't work out because I didn't cut it the right color and I didn't want to bore you guys with recutting, so we just didn't do that one. But I did have another pot holder ready to go. Now, you may wonder if it's a tutorial why these aren't finished. And the reason for that is I've already made a pot holder tutorial. So there wasn't any sense in me repeating that whole thing. So it will be in the link below in the description box. I'll also pin it on the top comment as soon as I can. I have to wait until the video is published to do it. But anyway, I will also leave it so that at the very end of this video, it's going to pop up on the screen and it's going to tell you, or not tell you, but show you the pot holder clickable link. So if you click it, you can get the tutorial there. So they're really fun to make. The one thing I would tell you is that if you're going to do a leaf design, you want to use more of a solid than what I did because the stitching shows on the back, which makes them look really good. People really like that. You kind of get the effect like this had, if you can see it, maybe not. Because this isn't a solid, but it was closer than this one was. I just kind of grabbed whatever I had a piece big enough to use. But anyway, you will need N Bond Lite. You'll need some fabrics of your choice to make these. Of course, they don't have to be autumn. They could be anything you want to applique, but I think it's fun to just get a little bit into the applique and use up some of your scraps to make some nice shapes and put them on something useful. So you'll need your N Bond Lite, your scissors, some fabric. I used 2 layers of cotton batting. You could also use Insulbrite if that's something that you like to use. I did use 2 layers of cotton, or you could use 1 Insulbrite, 1 cotton, but you need 2 layers in there. So you're going to meet me over at the sewing table. I'm going to show you everything. I'll go over everything you need as well as it will be listed below. Okay? All right, so let's make some applique pot holders to welcome autumn, because whether or not we're happy about it, which I am, my favorite season, but if you're not, that's okay. We need to welcome it and be happy. We'll make something to spruce everything up. We'll feel better. All right, let's go try these out. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. Now, I have some pot holders prepped. I didn't do pairs yet. I mean, like I have the other one that looks like this and the other one that looks like this here. But for the purposes of what we're doing, I've just got one of each thing out that I'm going to show. Now, the possibilities are absolutely endless on this. And applique is so much fun, in my opinion. I love it. So the first thing that I will tell you is the supplies that I used. And that being said, there are many ways to do applique. There's raw edge applique. You can turn it under. You can do all kinds of different ways, and I'm sure there are many videos that would show you those different ways. So what I did, though, is I'm going to use N Bond Lite. And anyone who's been with me, you might get tired of me saying this, but for new people or for people not paying attention last time, you do not want the Heat and Bond Ultra. You want Heat and Bond Lite. You cannot sew through the Ultra. Well, actually, sometimes you can, but your needle will gum up and it's a terrible mess. Now, what this is it feels like paper on one side. And on the other side, let's see. Can you see that there's like a shiny, gritty surface? But this is the side you can write on. And we're going to transfer our patterns. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So let's move this a little bit. Now, I will have in the description box some links to where I found these leaves. Some of them I changed when I printed. I enlarged them. That was the one I enlarged, the oak leaf. The maple leaves that I found, I kept the same. This one was a little bit small, but that's okay. So I think, let's see what size I want on there. Probably this one. See how I go like this? Now, these have always been a very popular pot holder when I do them every autumn. They're fun to make. People love them. And as I said, we're going to do a few different ones. So first things first, we need some Heat and Bond. So what I normally do is I figure out how big of a piece I need based on how big my applique is. And of course, because it unrolls, it can be quite fiddly. I'm going to make a mark and fold it, and then I can cut it on the fold, and I know I'll have enough that way. And you can use an old pair of scissors for this. And can you imagine, I even have scraps of this Heat and Bond. Well, you guys probably believe it by now. I have scraps of everything. Okay, so I'm going to use different colored leaves to go on my pot holders, as well as I have something else, not just leaves. I want to have some of this. So first things first, let's see how many. I could get 2 going across there. So you want to cut this so that it doesn't go over the edge of your fabric, because it will stick to your ironing board and nobody wants to clean that mess. You wait. So using no steam, whoops, my ironing cord is caught under my big ironing board. All right, so with the wrong side of your fabric facing up, you're going to put the gritty side, shiny gritty side, down against the back of your fabric. And you're just going to run a hot iron over it just like that. That's all it takes. It's all stuck. So let that cool for a minute, or you can hurry it along like this. And I'm going to use my new pencil. But once you go scrappy, there's no turning back. So what I'm going to do is trace around my leaf. And I have something over here already. I've already put the Heat and Bond onto the back of the fabric that I'm going to use. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys through this whole thing of watching me cut this out, but I did want to show you how I do it as far as tracing around. Now, for anyone who hasn't been with me from the beginning, and I know that's a lot of people, but about 6 months ago when I started this channel, I did a full tutorial on pot holders. And because I did that, I'm not going to go over everything today. we're just going to do Appliqued. We're going to learn a little bit about that. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to cut this out. But I want to make sure you can see what I've done. I've just traced around that leaf so that I can cut that out. And that's all I want to do is cut out on those lines. Okay, so this is what my maple leaf looks like. So what I have here is my backing fabric, 2 layers of 100% cotton batting, and then my squares. I cut these squares at 4.5 inches for these. That's just what size I like to do, make my potholders. And I guess I ought to even that up a little bit, but it doesn't matter because this is all going to get cut off around here. But like I said, I'm going to link the video for the potholders at the end. So when you watch this video all the way through, you're going to see at the end, it will pop up with the potholder video. So if you need to see it. Okay, so now I want to take care of my oak leaf. So again, wrong side of the fabric facing up, scratchy side of this facing down, whatever way you want to use it or place it to use less fabric. Just like that. And I'm going to trace again and cut it out, and I'll meet you right back here. All right, now I have an oak and a maple leaf. And then before I started, I got this piece of fabric all prepped. This has the heat and bond on the back because I'm going to use one of these trucks. So the first thing I did was realize that these scissors aren't cutting anything, so I got my older sewing scissors out to cut one of these. So I have a lot of choices here to choose from on these trucks. So I'm going to choose this one because, let me see, yeah, the top of that doesn't have heat and bond there. I missed it a little bit. This is the easiest one to get to. So I'm not going to be really particular. I want to give myself a little bit of space above the picture so that I can, you know, have room to stitch. You don't want to leave yourself without any area for that. I'll fix this better once I get it cut out of there. So generally what I do is I try to round off everything a little bit, because then when you're taking, you don't have to take sharp corners and all that. So just kind of round it like this. So my idea for these are something like this, appliquing it to it, and then, let me see, putting strips above and below, not necessarily this one. But first things first, so we need this fabric. Let's see, we have our backing fabric right side down. And 2 layers of cotton batting. Now, I don't think that I need this much of this fabric. So let me see. And see, this is a creative process, and each one of these is going to be a little bit different. So let me see what I think I need. If I leave 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch, I'll just take off about 1 1/4. But I'll come back to that when you guys aren't watching. We'll skip on over to these. Okay, now there are a couple of different ways you can go here. What I normally do is I start to quilt these. I usually do either a stitch in the ditch or a serpentine to hold everything down, okay? And then you could put your pattern on there and stitch around there. Personally, I like more quilting than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to serpentine stitch all around, both ways. I'm going to go down one way, back the other, back and forth. And I'm going to quilt it. You don't have to worry about coming out into your edge because we're going to be cutting this off, okay? So it's not one of these where you can't get up close because you have to turn. You don't need to worry about any of that. So I'm going to take both of these, or actually one of them because you only need one example. I'm going to take one over to the machine and I will take you with me. We can quilt these up. And I will probably cut this while I'm at it when I have the camera paused, just to have that prepped for the next part. Because once I get this quilted, then we can deal with the leaves. And I actually think I will quilt both of them just so that we can do this. And this was another one I had out. The reason for that is just to show you could just simply take a piece of fabric and do this. You could take strips that were left over from a project, anything that you have. It could be crumbs that you piece together. Anything at all would work. See, we could place the truck on there. We could have, maybe if I had cut a smaller leaf. You see what I mean? No matter what you think you want, there are printables out there. Okay, so let's go give these a quilt over at the machine. Now, I put on my walking foot. I'm using a serpentine stitch. If you have an electronic machine, I'm using 5.5 millimeter wide and 2.5 on my stitch length. If you don't have those settings, don't worry, just use whatever you want to use, either a straight stitch, fancy stitch of your choice. All right. Now I could have done a lot more quilting, and I normally do, but because this is a tutorial, I'll leave the amount of stitching up to you guys. So this is what I came up with to put the truck on. And I don't know, it might be all right. I might have dressed it up a little bit, but I don't know. I still think it's cute. I still think it's going to be nice when we get it on there. And the reason I had cut out this color and then the oak leaf in this is because I thought, well, that one already has green, so I'll put that color on there. And this one doesn't have any green, so I'll put it on there. And I could have gone darker, but then again, we could sit and pick ourselves apart all the time and, you know. All right, so heat and bond. The iron is still on. And again, you don't need steam. So you're going to peel the paper off the back. Just fold back in one of your little corners there and pull. Now you can reposition this wherever you want it. You can pick it up and move it. You could put it straight. You could go like this, which is what I normally do. So we have our stitching here, but when we stitch down through, it's going to quilt so that our leaf pattern, depending on your fabric on the back, it's going to show. So you could use a thread that might help it show more or less depending on the look that you're going for. Once you have your applique where you want it, you're going to press with your iron in just a couple of seconds. And again, no steam. So that's ready to go back to the sewing machine. And let's see. Now this was one that seemed better when I was thinking of it than how it actually turned out. I don't hate it, but I'm not loving it either. It needs something else, whether I'll dress it up with stitches possibly here and here, I don't know. But I did use this darker fabric, the one from the other leaf there, because I thought it picked up the color in the pickup truck a little better. So I'm not going to get very particular. It looks middle way to me. I could measure it and all that, but I'm not going to. That's close enough. And it should look handmade. I don't think that everything we make has to be spot on, perfectly centered. It should look homemade. We put a lot of work into that, and it should look like it came from the heart, not from a factory. That's just my thought on it. And I do like things to be nice, and I'll take out stitches and I'll do this and that. But when it comes to centering things or whatever, I tend to just kind of let some things go. All right, now this I could have used something darker. Yeah, I'm not liking that. So we're going to work with the other two because I'm going to come back to that. I don't want to put all the work. I love these colors together. So I want to put an applique on there that I like. So I'm going to set this to the side, but you still get the idea. We're going to go work these. Now I'm going to do these in two separate ways. This one, I'm going to stitch around the edge about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And that's just going to hold it in place. The Heat and Bond holds it there, and then you stitch it down. Basically, one just helps the other. And on this one, grab something so you can see. Not only am I going to go around all the edges, but then I'm going to come up here and make a vein. I'm going to go back and forth a few times, and I'm going to come in and out. And you'll see that, because even though I'm going to speed it up, you'll see what I'm doing. I come out, and that makes it look more realistic. So the thread color that I have in is not exactly the color that's here, but it's pretty close. So I think it's going to look really well. And I found that these are very popular potholders because they look really nice. Once you get those leaves stitched in, all those veins, they look really good. So I think you're going to like this technique. So now let's take this back over to the sewing machine and you can watch what I do. All right, so here is one autumn pot holder, and I have to say I really like that. Now, I don't know how well you can see the stitching, and you may have noticed, you may not, because I was going back and forth, but I was going, I meant because I was going so fast, you might not have noticed that I was going back and forth. And I just did that to kind of make it darker. And as you see, I kind of came up a little bit. I didn't make each one branch off evenly. Some I went side to side and some I came up a little bit, or just, I figure in nature not everything is perfect, and that's kind of why I do it. Now I could have put more lines or veins in there, but and this fabric didn't show it as well. If you use a solid on the back, I think you're really going to like it. And it can be a solid that blends well with your thread color. That part won't matter. I've made a lot of these, and I will say that the solid color ones look really cool because when you flip them over, you see the whole leaf design. And I should have thought about that, because just like this one, I didn't snip my thread. Now you can see the outline of this because this is kind of like a solid, more so than the other. So if you were to use a solid on your leaf, I think you would like the back much better. And so now what I need to do is square these up so that I can bind them. And again, I'm not going to show you all that because I have made a tutorial before about that. And so I'm not going to redo it here on this video. But what I will do is I will measure out from here to here and make sure it's the same each way that I do. And I'll make these in pairs. And of course, you could make a table runner. You could make a placemat. There's so many different things that you can do with the applique. But I wanted to show you guys what I was really in the mood to sew today, which was something to get our autumn going. And since we're, you know, looking at all these things, pot holders and all these things that are themed towards autumn, and we have the leaf and we have the truck, our creative word today is going to be truck. So I hope that you liked hanging out with me today here at Marie's Scrappy Creations. You can grab your scrap pile. I bet you have some fabrics that would go great as an applique, and it doesn't have to be autumn. You could do these for Christmas, for Easter, or for whatever. It doesn't even have to be a holiday, just something to match your decor or someone else's. And they make a great gift, because who can't use pot holders or placemats or even a table centerpiece? So whatever you'd like to do with these. So don't forget, I'm going to link right at the end the pot holder tutorial so that you can see how to make them. All right, you'll get how to make the hanging loop and the whole bit, and they're adorable. I hope you try these out. I hope that you show them to us all on the Facebook page. If you're not a member, please go over to Facebook and search for Marie's Scrappy Creations, or click the link in the description box below because I have it there. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. And of course, like and share across social media. That always helps me out. Until next time, you take care. Thanks for being with me. And remember, be kind out there. The world needs more of that. I'll see you next time right here at Marie's Scrappy Creations. Bye.